turn it over to our administrative law judge for agenda item number 2, the petition for reinstatement hearing.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Administrative Law Judge Jamie Teagle-Burgos, and I'm with the Office of Administrative Hearings for the state of California, and I've been assigned to hear this matter. We have a court reporter here today, and so I just want to remind everyone to please not speak over each other and to speak a little slower than you normally would, a little louder than you normally would, and he will definitely let us know if he needs us to slow down or whatnot. So I appreciate that. Are you ready? Okay, great. The record is now open in the matter of the petition for reinstatement filed by Daira Carmona Vega. This is OAH case number 2025-100622. And got an agency number, one moment here. And agency number 1002026003117. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm Judge Teagle-Burgos with the Office of Administrative Hearings. And I am been assigned to hear this matter and to sit with this board here, the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, which is convened here today to consider this petition. I'd like to get an appearance of the parties, beginning with the Attorney General's office.
Good morning. Molly Selway, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Good morning, Ms. Selway.
Good morning.
And the petitioner, just go ahead and state your name, please.
Daira Vega.
And go ahead and pull that your microphone closer to you.
Daira Carmona Vega.
Good morning, Ms. Vega.
Good morning.
So what we're going to do today is I'm going to first just speak with directly to Ms. Vega. I know you're representing yourself here today, and that's perfectly fine. And I wanted to explain the procedure to you. I can't give any legal advice, of course, but I definitely want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So if you have any questions about the procedural process, you just interrupt, okay? Just say, I don't know where we're at, and I'll be sure to make sure that everyone's on the same page, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the burden of proof is on you to establish that you are entitled to reinstatement, okay? So the Deputy Attorney General, Ms. Selway, will first offer the jurisdictional documents. And what those are is that's how we got here today, okay? There was a procedural process that happened over the last couple of years. She'll explain that. And there was a notice of hearing, and we're here today. Those are the jurisdictional documents, okay? And it will include your petition and any documents that you submitted in support of your petition. And I know there's a couple, okay? And then Ms. Selway will go ahead and outline the background of the case, okay? So we all know what has happened and how we got here today. After Ms. Selway's done doing that, then it'll be your turn to make your presentation to this board, okay? If you have any additional documents, you can present them at that time. You may testify, and I know that you'll be doing that on your own behalf. You can call witnesses. I'll go ahead and swear you in before you testify, okay? And if you have any witnesses, you just let me know and we'll swear them in as well. Members of this board and the Deputy Attorney General, Ms. Selway, they'll probably or might have some questions for you, okay? And so after you testify, I'll go around and ask them if they have any questions for you, okay? You have the right to raise any legal objections to their questions, and you just state the reasons why you have those objections, and then I'll rule on the objection and we'll move on, okay?
Okay.
Okay. After your petition has been heard, the board will then meet in closed session, okay, and for deliberations. And the board's decision will not be announced today. The board will be issuing a decision after the hearing today, okay? It'll be a written decision. And again, like I said, if you have any questions about the procedural process, just interrupt and I'll make sure that you understand where we're at, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Selway, our Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you. Very loud when I move this thing. Sorry. Okay. Before you, there are 6 different exhibits which have been identified by tabs. And it's enclosures 1 through 6. And these exhibits will be uploaded to case lines after the hearing today. First, I'll identify each tab and then we can move them into evidence. Tab number 1 is the petition for reinstatement. And this is the document provided by the respondent. I'm sorry, petitioner. Tab 2 are petitioner supporting documents. Tab 3 is the hearing confirmation form. Tab 4 is a license certification. Tab 5 is the decision in order, which also includes a copy of the accusation. And tab 6 is the notice of hearing. Today, I would like to identify tabs 1 through 5 as the petition packet, and then tab 6 as the notice of hearing for jurisdictional purposes.
Ms. Vega, do you have any objections to these exhibits, these tabs, which are exhibits to be entered into the record?
No.
Okay, no objections. Thank you. The tabs 1 through 6, I'll identify as exhibits 1 through 6, and they're admitted into the record. And
Thank
they'll be
you.
uploaded into Case Center by close of business tomorrow.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I'd like to offer a summary of the case. Petitioner was initially issued her license on January 20th, 2022. She received a manicurist license, which is license number M355610. On February 1st, 2022, she received an establishment license, and that is license number A346091. On December 15th, 2022, the board received an anonymous complaint that petitioner was administering Botox. Upon further investigation, on or about April 26, 2023, the board filed an accusation. And the accusation lists a number of violations, including health and safety code violations and other regulations. But the most important violation mentioned in the accusation is the practice of medicine, where petitioner administered Botox. Petitioner elected to surrender her license, and she surrendered her license on November 6, 2023. She surrendered both her establishment license and her manicurist license. The board adopted the stipulation surrender on January 30th, 2024. And on February 29th, 2024, both licenses were surrendered and revoked.
What was that last date?
February 29th, 2024. On June 24th, 2025, respondent submitted the petition for reinstatement of her revoked manicurist license. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Selway. Okay, Ms. Vega,
Yes.
I'm going to swear you in, okay? Okay, raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California?
Yes.
Thank you. You can put your hand down now. And for the record, can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Dayra, D-A-Y-R-A, Vega, V-E-G-A.
Thank you. Okay, so now's the time for you to offer your testimony. And this is when you say what you want to say, everything. Okay, so not part of it, just everything you want to say. Now's your time.
Mhm.
Okay, you can talk about the incident and the investigation and what led to the surrendering of your licenses. You can also talk about, which is quite important, any evidence of rehabilitation, why this won't happen again. Okay. And I know you have, you wrote a letter and you also have a support letter and that you, submitted with your petition, and you can bring those up as well. Okay. And then when you're done testifying, as I mentioned, the board members, Ms. Selway, even myself might have some questions for you. Okay. So I'll just make sure that, we just stay along with the procedure here. Okay. So you may proceed and go ahead and begin with your testimony.
So it all began before I got my manicuring license. I had my LVN license, and that's how I was able to open my establishment at the time. I realized nursing wasn't really for me, so I decided to go into manicuring. And everything was going well. I opened, I mean, I wasn't doing no Botox or anything. It was just brought up because at that time, everybody was doing it, even with those pens. I don't know what the pens are really called, but they do some with pens. And I just figured since I was in the medical field, I didn't even know everything about all the licenses that you needed. And I honestly didn't even look into it. I'm not gonna lie about that. I didn't look into it. It just seemed really easy. And I just went on to it. It didn't last very long. It literally was like a month. It didn't last long at all because I started like in November, mid-November during the holidays, and state board arrived. I remember it was a Wednesday. And yeah, that's how that went. I did confess to the state board lady that I was doing it because I didn't, in my head, everything just seemed it was okay because I had a license, not an RN license, but I had an LVN license. And even then, it didn't really click in my head that even though I had a medical license, I still couldn't do anything invasive with it. RNs are the only ones that can do that. And I don't know, everything just seems so easy for me. I really don't have an explanation to it, but what I'm saying, because it did seem easy for me to do it, everybody was doing it. Right after that, state board kept coming over and over again. I mean, they didn't find anything else after that because I completely took everything out. And I didn't even think it was that serious then, still, until I got my first letter from state board. Then I know state board was still investigating me because I would get a lot of messages trying to book an appointment to get Botox. So I didn't pull through with it. I just had a really, really bad feeling. And I was like, I cannot be doing this for money. I'm gonna lose a lot, which I did. I lost my manicuring license, my establishment license, and my nursing license. Yeah, pretty much I surrendered my manicuring license because I got an attorney and he just suggested that if I surrender, it might be a better chance of me getting my license reinstated again, which I'm hoping that is the case. Yeah, so that's how we are here. That's why we are here. My last day at working was February 29th. That was the very, very last day. And it was really, really hard because I've always been a working person and I had to like quit from one day to another. I just had to shut it down. And
Give me the year, please, again.
February
29th.
29th, 2024.
Thank you.
And then from there, well, I was offered if I wanted to take over Avenel Youth Cheers. So that's what I've been doing ever since. I've been running a program. I mean, it's a volunteer program since I'm not working. I just volunteer my time to run my youth cheer from my town. And that's what I've been doing until now. I did take also classes. I did get my child development certificates. Just in case this doesn't work out, I have something else for the future. But that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Ms. Vega. Should I start with, Ms. Selway, do you have any questions first?
I do. Just-
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. At this point, do you understand the risk and harm of administering Botox?
Yes, I do, because it actually paralyzes. It paralyzes muscles, and it could be very, very dangerous.
What's your understanding of an invasive procedure?
Like when you go in the skin.
Um, as a manicurist, do you understand you would have no ability to do anything with the skin? Your scope would be limited to nails?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so understanding you had a manicurist license, why did you think it'd be okay to administer Botox?
Because I had a nursing license as well. So it just, in my head, it just seemed right. I didn't even know that when you had an establishment license, I didn't even know there was different boards until I actually went online and started investigating, and there's a board for every single career.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I knew there was a board of nursing, which is like the LB and BP or something like that. But I just didn't realize that there was so many in California until I started researching everything.
And then you owned the establishment, it was called the Barn, is that correct?
The barn,
The
yes.
Barn. And there currently is a new establishment called the Barn, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, and are you involved in that?
my husband owned it.
He owns it?
Well, it's closed.
It's closed.
It's been closed. So I had opened the nail barn,
Okay.
which was on, I think it was Fifth Street. I can't remember the address. That salon became too small. So way before they even, before I surrendered my license, we tried opening a bigger establishment because we had more girls working there. And that's when everything went downhill, and they told me February 29th, I received a letter that was my last day.
Okay.
And that's when I had to close. Actually, one of the inspectors went there, and I was walking in to get some stuff, and she even seen that it was empty because I had to close it.
So you closed the nail barn, and then when did you open up, or when did your husband open up the barn?
I can't remember the date, but it was 2023. I think it was like October or November.
And when did the barn close down, not the nail barn?
The barn, well, it closed after because I had two girls working there. I couldn't work it, but I think it was June, maybe around June, because one of the girls got her own establishment and then the other one moved on to.
June of 2024?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Does the barn still have a current active establishment license?
I believe so because we tried canceling on online,
Mhm.
but we couldn't do it. We couldn't figure it out. So whenever the inspector went, she told me she was gonna leave me a paper, but she didn't. Then, because we were talking, she was looking that everything had been taken out. So you could tell that it was closed, that there was nobody working there because everything was being torn out. And she said she was gonna leave me a paper so the establishment license can be taken off.
Okay. If you do get your license today, do you plan on working for another establishment?
Yes,
Okay. And do you have an establishment in mind?
yes, I do. My husband owns another establishment. It's called Gloss Nail Studio.
That GLOSS?
Mm-hmm. GLOSSED.
Glossed. Okay.
Glossed, yes.
And you would work for your husband then?
Yes.
Okay. How can you ensure this board that you're going to follow the scope of practice of a manicurist?
I've lost way too much already. Like I lost a lot.
Have you taken any recent courses in connection with manicuring?
No, I have not. When all of this first started, I reached out to Lawrence and Company in Hanford, California, and they said that only if in my paperwork it was asked for me to take classes, that they would give them to me. So whenever I received that big packet with everything that I needed to do, which pay fees, and I looked it up, but it didn't say that I needed to take any classes, so I honestly didn't even push forward with it.
Okay, I was just more like, have you maintained any education is all.
Mhm.
That was the
Oh,
question.
no.
Okay. When you surrendered your license, the order stated that you needed to pay fines and costs in the amount of $2,786.87.
Mhm.
Do you understand that you need to pay those costs prior to the issuance of a license?
Yes,
Okay. And are you able to pay those costs if a license is issued?
yes.
Okay.
That's another question. Um, they they told me when I talked to, I can't remember who I talked to about that fee. They said that I would go on to Breeze and see the fees there. I have been going on there, but they're never there. And whenever I petitioned, because it said it had to be paid off before you petition for the license. Um, so I reached out to, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I asked them if I still had a fee, and he said that there was no due fee, so I haven't paid them because I don't know where to pay them to.
I feel like that's something we can deal with later or
Okay.
yeah. Um, in addition to the administration of Botox, which again is the most egregious of the allegations, you did have a number of health and safety code violations and failures to comply with regulations. Do you understand the importance of keeping everything clean and orderly? And how can we ensure in the future you'll make sure everything's done appropriately?
That, I know exactly what you're talking about, because that day, the inspector told me, so I don't know, the nail files, the little round bits, she said that they were dirty because there was little dust under, but even when you receive them in a package, they're little sand bands. So like the little sanding thing comes down. I don't know if that explain, like, so she said that it was dirty, but it was in a little drawer labeled. So I don't know, I guess because it didn't say new, but I mean, I can't do, I don't know what I can do to remove the dust. I would have to clean it all the time, because even when you open and close that little drawer, the sand bands move everywhere and little dust comes out. Then I know another one, I would always put all the, I know that they don't go there, but all my dirty files, I would throw them in a basket. Because a lot of clients would say that they would go to other shops and they would use the same file. So I would either give them their own file, or I would throw it in a basket, and then I would throw them out, but I would never reuse them.
At this time, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Selway. Do any of the board members have any questions for Ms. Vega?
Good morning, Tanya Fairley. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I just want to say, in reading your case and going through this, I just really want to get a feel of what you are going to do differently if your license is given back to you. Not just so much the Botox, but as I'm reading here, your safety and sanitation was even a greater concern for me,
Mhm.
because we are here to protect the public. A few of your violations had everything to do with cleanliness,
Mhm.
and you were the establishment owner.
Mhm.
So, if you go and look at the case summary that has been provided, you were cited for insufficient disinfectant. So this is again, not disinfecting the tools correctly. Disinfected, not changed. That means that the tools that were there were soiled and dirty, disinfected. Electrical tools not soiled or labeled. Clean tools not stored correctly, not disposing of tools, improper disinfection. So along with the Botox, which was out of your scope of practice, the cleanliness of your establishment is a deep concern for me.
Mhm.
So what are you doing different? What will you be doing differently to assure that the public is not at risk?
I think I would take the time between clients to disinfect right after. Um, I was super, super busy when I opened the salon. I was back to back, so whenever I had, I wouldn't disinfect right after. I would just throw all my implements in a box and just wait till the end of the day. Now the disinfectant that day, I did have other girls there, and I know one of the citations was because there was hair in the sanitation. I mean, I don't know, what else I can say. I would just, I guess, have my own sanitation solution just for nails and just take the time after each client to wash and sanitize right after.
Okay. My next question, since you stated earlier that when you were asked the question about what would make it different, and you said you've lost a lot, how have you been making money um, since you surrendered your establishment license and your individual license?
My husband, I'm married, so he's a truck driver, so he takes care of everything.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kelly Funk, a practicing esthetician, and thank you for being here this morning. Just to mimic what Ms. Fairley said, that getting in a rhythm of sanitizing between each client is so good. It's good for you, it's good for your practice, it's good for the clients to see. So don't worry about taking your time and showing that process of sanitizing and changing everything between clients. Take your time. And even if it takes 5 minutes, that's a good rhythm to get into. So I encourage you to practice that. You said that you are done with your LVN license, that you surrendered, or was that revoked?
It was revoked. I didn't, so whenever they took away whenever I started having like the issues with my manicuring, I did get an attorney. I did hire an attorney, but only for my manicuring license. He did say that they were gonna go after my nursing license, but that might take even longer, and it did. It took a year after. They just barely sent me the paperwork for it, and it was revoked. I didn't attempt to try to save that one because I know that that's not what I want to do.
Okay, so you are willing to let go of the practice of Botox and
Mhm.
fillers altogether? Okay, just making sure. No further questions. Thank you.
Can I squeeze in for a second? Just one question, sorry. You mentioned your husband's a truck driver. Is he on the road a lot?
No, he comes home yes, he's on the road every day, but he comes home every day.
Who's running Gloss Nail Studio then?
Well, I help him run it, but I'm there maybe like once a month.
So you're actually involved in like the management of the studio?
Yes, I make sure whatever the girls need, they have. And then now that I went through all of this, I make sure that everything's in order.
Okay. Um, sorry, one concern I would have is if you get your license back, if you get your license back, you would get it with probation
Mm-hmm.
and you would need to be actively monitored. And I'm a little concerned that if you're working for your husband, you won't be monitored, especially if you are essentially running that establishment.
Mm-hmm.
How can you, and I think everyone's going to have the same concern. I can see nods. How can you ensure the board that you will be monitored and that you won't be running that establishment?
I don't know how to answer that. How would I be monitored? Like, would there need to be someone else or
Do you have a manager in charge of the establishment?
no?
No manager. Could you get a manager in charge of the establishment?
I can try, yes.
Um, I can tell that's going to be a concern. So if you can try to alleviate that concern, that would,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you can say to them to explain that.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna do any of those things. I mean, I can't prove that. I would just show whenever I am there that even if you guys send someone, I mean, I'm not gonna be doing anything else besides nails. And I'm not even sure if I'm gonna work that establishment because it's far from where I live. So that's why I only go like maybe once every 2 weeks just to check up on the girls. I'm rarely there. Even if you guys send someone and ask, they're gonna tell you I'm rarely there.
Sorry, I'll bring it back to the board.
That's okay, because I do have a follow-up question. After she said that, um, and I guess this is a catch-22 question, because by you already having an establishment and it belongs to your husband, then there's no manager there, and state board guidelines is that there should be someone in charge of the establishment if the owner is not present. And if you're going to fulfill that role, again, it goes back to capacity, safety, and sanitation. And if you're only there twice a month, how are you assuring that even in that capacity, that the safety and sanitation is being adhered to?
Well, I'm just trusting the girls that work there. They're their own boss. So they went to school too. They got their cosmetology license, their esthetician license, so they should know what they're supposed to do. They're in charge of their own sanitation.
Morning, Ms. Vega. I appreciate your candor and the honesty that you've shared with us this morning. I will I will be honest with you and just share some of the things that are troubling to me about your testimony. I heard you say that you had prior medical experience and that you knew that Botox and using needles was not something that you were allowed to do as an LVN. You said registered nurses are allowed to do that. So you knew even at the time that even being just a manicurist separate from that, you knew as an LVN that you're not to do that kind of thing without a doctor or some kind of supervisor. So you knew that going ahead of time. You also mentioned that you weren't aware of any of the licenses that were required. When questioned about the health and safety violations, your answers were a little, again, kind of defensive, and also did not show me that you understand what those requirements are. And finally, you mentioned the reasons why, or when asked whether, we can, what assurances you can give us that next time or going forward, it's going to be different. And the only thing I've heard from you is that you have financial incentive to do something different. And I want you to understand that this is our concern is consumer safety. And while I appreciate and understand that you need to support yourself and your family, that cannot be our consideration is how you is whether you can continue to make money. It is what matters is health and safety. And I haven't heard anything from you that suggests that you understand what went wrong the first time, or that you have taken it upon yourself to learn what you need to learn in order to be ready. I've heard a lot about how you just didn't know this, didn't know that. And it sounds like, and again, just right now to the response to a licensee in charge or having a manager in charge, you said you didn't know. And so I have yet to hear anything that suggests to me that you have done your research and that you have actually worked to address the issues that brought us here today. I understand that you want a second chance, and I appreciate that, but I haven't heard what I need to hear. And so I just want to lay that out for you and give you an opportunity to respond.
Well, I mean, I do need to work, but I don't know what part I said that it was more of a financial thing. I was just saying that I took child development classes in case this didn't work out. I've always been a working person, so I'm not used to being at home only. And as for, I'm very aware of everything that's wrong. I said that it's not right. I mean, I really don't know what you want me to say. I didn't know I was being defensive. Maybe my face looks like I am, but I'm not being defensive at all. I'm just being honest. I know about the cleanliness and everything, and I said I obviously have to take more classes to relearn everything because I've been out for a year and a half. I'm not at the salon at Gloss every day because I was scared that state board will get there And then they would think that I'm working there, which you could tell that I'm not because I'm just back and forth whenever I'm there. I'm cleaning the area, the bathroom, the towels, and making sure everything's labeled. But I mean, that's why I'm not there every day. If I would have known that I could be there, then I would definitely take the manager role and make sure that everything's done right and I would be there every day.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Vega.
Ms. Solway,
No further questions.
thank you. No other questions for the board? No? Okay. Okay, do you have anything else to add, Ms. Vega?
No.
Thank you very much for your testimony and your time today. You are excused from testifying, and at this time, we're going to go into closed session. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Madam President of the board here, and she'll give instructions as to who goes where.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You are dismissed. Right now, we are going to go into closed session, so I'm going to have to ask everyone to please clear the room. And we should reconvene. It's 9:40, let's say 9:45, 10:15, so 30 minutes. Good morning. Second go around should be the best go around. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Monica for a roll. I was looking for you over there for a roll. Thank you, Monica. Present.
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 Kelly Maypham,
Present.
Steve Weeks,
Present.
we have a quorum.
Awesome. Happy Monday, everyone. Thank you for joining us here live and in person in San Diego, and then everyone who's online. We want to let you know that we do have a full agenda today. I promise to give you guys a lunch. You good, Caesar? We're going to give you lunch today. We are also going to be pretty strict with time, especially with public comments. We will be limiting those to 3 minutes. And as a reminder to the board, we do not respond to public comments, and to those who would like to make a comment, we would not be responding to public comments. I don't think there's anything else that I need to address. So right now we are going to go ahead and move into agenda item number 4, and I'm going to turn this over to Christy.
Good morning, everyone. Is that working? Okay. All right. I'm here today to give the Department of Consumer Affairs Board a Barbering and Cosmetology update. There's quite a bit that I was given, so I will just go through this quickly. DCA is very excited to announce 2 members to the department's executive team. Governor Newsom appointed Lucy Saldivar as the Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Lucy previously served as the Chief of Staff in the Office of Assembly Member Lisa Calderon since 2022 and the Legislative Director from 2021 to 2022. She's also held multiple roles in the Office of Assembly Member Harkey Irwin. Nope, I think that's Jackie. Sorry, Jackie Irwin from 2017 to 2021. Lucy is a member of the Hope Leadership Institute and the California Latino Capital Association Foundation. Shelley Jones was appointed by Governor Newsom as the Assistant Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Shelley brings 29 years of experience working with the boards. She has been with DCA since 2015, serving in several capacities with Board and Bureau Relations, as well as DCA's strategic organizational leadership and individual development and organizational improvement offices. Prior to joining DCA, she served multiple roles in the Juvenile Parole Board of the California Department of Corrections. I've known Shelley for a long time, so I'm super happy to be working with her. So please join us in welcoming Lucy and Shelley to their new roles. We are very excited that they'll be serving and assisting our boards and bureaus, and I know they look forward to meeting all of you in the near future. Finally, and this will be a little bit bittersweet for me, and it might get hard for me to get through, but finally, we'd like to share that after 36 years of education, of dedicated service at the Department of Consumer Affairs, DCA Director Kimberly Kirkmeyer recently announced that she will retire at the end of the year. Director Kirkmeyer began her career at DCA as a student assistant in 1989. They failed to list in this notice that she started right here with Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. And I know she's happy that I said that. She was appointed by Governor Newsom as the DCA director in 2019, and within her first 6 months on the job as a director, she navigated severe wildfires, the start of COVID-19 pandemic, and transitioned the department's 3,500 employees to telework. Director Kirkmeyer would like to extend a special thank you for the honor and opportunity to serve as your director for the past 6 years. She would also like to thank you for your continued hard work and dedication to the department, the state, and the consumers of California. Your work is invaluable, impactful, and integral to DCA's mission of consumer protection, and she knows it will continue for years to come because of the extraordinary staff at DCA. Relations with, oops, I think I missed a sentence there. In closing, please let the Board and Bureau Relations Office know if you have any questions or need any assistance. And I just, from a personal note, I've known Director Kirkmeyer for a very long time. We've both been at DCA for over 30 years. She's been a very big supporter of mine and of our board and of really changing things at the Department of Consumer Affairs and making a tremendous impact. And she will be very, very sorely missed from all of us. That's our update.
Christy. And now we'll open up to public comment on what Christy just said. Do you have any public comments on the agenda item number 4? Oh, in-person comments? No moderator. We have no public comments, no moderator. All right, we will be moving on to agenda item number 5, discussion, the approval of our meeting minutes from our October 13th board meeting. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
I move, Kelly Funk, I move to approve the October 13th, 2025 board meeting minutes.
This is Danielle, I second.
Thank you. Monica, can you please call roll?
Oh, there's no motion.
Sorry. Public comment? Sabina says, public comment. Is there any public comment on agenda item number 5? No public comment? Now, Monica, you can call roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram, Michelle Egger, Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Okay, I just need to add a couple things. In my depression over our director retiring, I missed a whole page of the report. So if I could just have your attention for just a few more minutes, I just wanted to add sexual harassment prevention training. As you may remember, sexual harassment prevention training is mandated for completion within 30 days of your appointment to the board and every 2 years thereafter. On October 27th, DCA launched its new sexual harassment prevention training in the Learning Management System, also known as LMS. If you completed the 24-25 sexual harassment prevention training during the year 24-25, those calendar years, the new training will be automatically assigned to your LMS account 2 months before your 2-year mark. If you have not completed the 2024-25 sexual harassment prevention training, the new version was already assigned to your LMS account on October 27th. We ask that you please log in and take care of this training as soon as possible. Have we done that?
I'll check it after today, but I'm sure everyone's already up to date
Okay,
because everyone's
great.
completed it.
All right, going forward, the compliance deadline will either be 2 years from the last completion date for those that took the training or by December 27th for those that did not. Upon completion of the new sexual harassment prevention training, it will be automatically reassigned to your LMS account biannually 22 months from your last completion date. Then we have unconscious bias training. Additionally, DCA's training unit has developed unconscious bias training for board members. This training will be added to members' LMS accounts in November, as well as incorporated into all onboarding when new board members' LMS accounts. No, you just like scared me. So you can find that training and records under the transcript section of your LMS account. If you have any questions, you can certainly email member relations or our go-to, who is Monica, who handles all of that for us. Our Promise campaign launched State Employees Giving at Work campaign. Every year through the Our Promise California State Employees Charitable Campaign, state employees and board members have the opportunity to support the nonprofit causes that they are passionate about through payroll giving or one-time donations. These contributions have a positive impact on our communities and is another way for DCA to show it cares. The campaign runs through December 31st, and DCA will be emailing information to the boards and bureaus this month. And now I have completed the appropriate update.
And dare say, do we have any public comment? No public comment. Thank you, Christy. Appreciate you. All right, on to agenda item number 6, which is the proposed board meeting dates and locations for 2026. As you see if you go open your book, the dates and the dates and locations are listed. If anyone has any questions, any thing, please, by all means. I know I have a question. I have a suggestion. But before I say and ask, does anyone else on the board have any questions? No? Okay, so my question,
The May 18th, is that, when you say Southern California, would
Okay.
that be like Burbank?
that's my question, because I wanted to propose that the May 18th be in San Diego and then the November 16th be in Burbank. And if you have some system of where these are held and why.
Sorry, it's we do have a system. It's a contract process, so we do have to go through an extensive process to get a contract with a hotel. But we're certainly open to any suggestions. It's nothing set in stone.
My only suggestion is if we can look at the May 18th being in San Diego and then the November 16th being in Burbank, because they both say Southern California with no location. And don't ask me why, but that's my suggestion. Anyone else? Okay, if no one else, then dates are fine. Locations are kind of up in air. Okay, now moving on to agenda item number 7, and I will turn the meeting over to Chrissy to discuss the executive management reports.
All right. We will start under your packets with agenda item 7, which is our admin and operations report. We currently have 6 positions in this unit. We have 2 vacancies. But I think they're probably going to be filled here real soon. So hopefully next time you see this, it will have a 0. We've just provided information on staff training. We're providing information on our vehicles. As you know, our inspectors all work from home, so they all have assigned vehicles. And so we had several that we had reached their lifespan. So we just recently received 7 new vehicles. They're currently in the process of being signed out to our inspectors and our special investigators. We have our budget projections report on page 2, and then our fund condition on page 3. This is FM 13, so that's fiscal month 13. So this budget is this budget projection on page 2 is the final for the last fiscal year, 24-25. So you can see that we ended with what we call a surplus of 9.74%, which is great for our board. And we are really going to try to get these redlined items to where they show up as black. It's working with our budget office to realign our budget, because obviously it shows red, but we're not in the red. It's just because it's not allocated correctly.
So my question would be, is this something like for the equipment? Because we switched over to all the inspectors having the iPads or being able to process, because that was a big jump from 77,000 to 475,000.
So 77,000 is the allotment. So that's what, when they develop the budget, they say, you're going to probably spend about 77,000. It's never 77,000. It's always up in the hundreds of thousands. So that's what I mean by we are going to work to, and we have been working to try to get this re-allotted. So the governor, gives us the amount of money that we have, and then it goes through a budget process to get it all lined up where it should be. And so, for instance, a good example is printing. We're always in the red on printing, but we're not, we have the funds for that, and we know that's going to be there. So we just need to get that shipped so that it reads correctly. It's just a lot of work to do with other entities to have it realigned. And as a board with a good budget and a solid budget, there are boards and programs that might not be in that same situation that take, for lack of a better word or phrase, a lot more time of our budget office as needed. So it's sort of low on the priority levels, but we are going to work on it. We are going to get that finally fixed.
I have a question.
Yes.
The strength of our budget is extraordinary. I mean, we're pulling out 18 months of surplus there. We're a creditor to the state of California. I guess 97 years of operation has given us a little bit of insight into what is going. But I do have a couple of concerns on the fiscal year 24-25 on page 2. Obviously, our largest expenditure, our allotment, is for personnel services. It's for staffing. Understood. That makes sense. Our second largest area is further down the page, item number 5342, DCA pro rata. Is that, now I think I know what that is. That's the your salary allocation, and it's all the other things that are supplied to us by them. But the question is that a negotiable fee? Can we do something there? Is it just given to us as hard and fast?
I would say it's not negotiable. It is, but they do have a formula for what they do it,
Right.
how they do it. A lot of times it's based on positions, it's based on licensees. So it's not negotiable, but it is pretty standard. So it's, they have to look at every board's pro rata to support their services. We probably need more services than one of our, 2 staff boards. So it's set in stone. They often report on it. The DCA reports on pro rata to the legislature. Okay, so yeah, it's not, I would say no.
Okay, what's the relationship between that $6 million number and moving on to page 3, halfway down the page on total expenditures? It looks like we're expending $20 million. Is that something that we're crediting back to the state? And how does it relate? How does that $20 million in the same period relate to the $6 million?
So the second page is a very high level, so it's all condensed into there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you're talking about under the expenditures on page 3, correct?
Right.
So there's they
For
take-
24-25.
they basically take all of it and average it out for expenditures. So you can see on the previous page that our current expenditures were a little over 19 million.
But that's just pro rata expenditures, right?
No, that's everything. On page 3, that's all of our expenditures.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
It's all about the money.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to page, right? Page 4 is where we start with our licensing data. We have 19 positions in our licensing unit right now. This also includes DRC. We have 3 vacant positions in licensing. We're currently recruiting for 1 manager position and 1 program technician, and then I believe a seasonal clerk as well. Our seasonal clerks who make everything happen for us in our office. So then we have our data on our examinations. Our pass rates are mostly unchanged with the exception of electrology that had an increase of 7% and hairstyling had a drop of 21%. Hairstyling is interesting because a lot of those people are not coming from California. They're coming from, they may have had courses elsewhere and are coming into California and testing. We haven't had a lot of California applicants for the hairstyling license. And then again, this is our pass rates, and this is for everything. And we'll of course go into the details in just a minute. The board continues to receive about 160 emails a day, and we usually respond within 2 business days. Our applications, the board received 15,593 applications in the first quarter of fiscal year 25-26. This was actually a decrease of 7.4% over the fourth quarter of 24-25. So we compare quarter to quarter. Establishment applications is we provided a chart for you on that. You can see our establishments are usually always like the most consistent license we have. There, you can always bank on those being that same number every single year. And I think it's just because a lot of salons change hands. So we don't necessarily get very many brand new, but a lot change hands and have to get a new license. The board issued 9,447 licenses during the first quarter of 25-26. This was a slight decrease from 4.8% from the fourth quarter of 24-25. The number of cosmetology apprentice licenses issued increased by 30.7%, and personal service permit also increased by about 11.1%. Our current license population is 662,403 licensees. We're busy. Next page is our applications received. That's just our data. I won't go into details on that. On page 7 is where we start to talk about our exam results. So the first page is by license type and by language. So you can see at the top, we start with our barbers, and this is for quarter July 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2025. So this is our pass rates by language. And then we also were showing first-time test takers and re-exam test takers.
Question for you.
Yes.
You were mentioned in the hairstylist license that we're getting a lot of out-of-state applications. Are we having any problems with people coming into our state wanting to find an easy in and then they're out of scope later?
Not with hairstylist. No, would you agree, Carrie? Yeah, I mean, it's really just people, so it's not license for license where we have some concerns. It's people who just happen to take that education in another state because there are other states that have a hairstylist license and then just decided to test here in California.
Have we had enough time experience with the license to determine if there's any out-of-scope use of that license?
No. I'm trying to think if we've even come across one in an inspection. I don't recall that we've even come
Not
across
that I can
anyone.
recall either. Yeah.
Which is, I think we'll see it grow.
Sure.
Head spas are getting really popular, and that would be a good use of that license.
All right.
All right, so now moving to page 9. This is our written exam results by educational background. So first we have the apprentice program, then we have our out of country, and then we have our traditional school programs. You can see that They're pretty standard, what we normally see. And obviously our schools are doing better, which I'm sure we'll talk about apprentices a little bit later. Page 10 is the exam results by language broken down by program. So this first is the apprentice program, and this is broken down by language. So you can see here that we do have a lot of Spanish test takers in the apprentice program, which has always been a concern for the apprentice and how they're being trained. Our out of country and schools by language, you can see those pass rates by language. Any questions? Yes?
I guess, of course, our question, like the Spanish pass rates just continue to be low, and I feel like every time we meet, there's not any needle moving. I don't know if maybe the agency that administers the test can weigh in, or what have they?
They have with us.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see if they can actually come to our next board meeting and talk even further about it. They've done
Yeah.
that in the past. I just think it's important that we remember that we have no control over quality of ed. So we
Yeah.
don't know how these people are being taught.
Yeah.
We have no idea. Rather it's in school, rather it's in the apprenticeship program. We have no quality of education requirement. So we have the tests that we've developed, and we've checked the translation a million times through different avenues.
Mhm.
Do we think it could be improved? Yes, but there are requirements to translate to I'm looking at you, Carrie. What's it called?
The most universally used dialects.
There you go. And
Yes.
that might not be the best for California. But there's, rules on how things get translated for the exams. And so we put that on all of our information, that's how it's translated. And so I don't believe we have a problem with the translation. Could we make it better? And I'm talked to the exam developer about that. We need to look at making it more California based in a sense. So that's the wrong words to use, but somebody who speaks Spanish in Florida probably speaks a different Spanish in California. And so they are looking at that, and they have been for sure. But then we have the textbooks who are also in Spanish, and the exam's going to match those textbooks. So our responsibility is the textbooks and the exam, and then we don't have anything on how people are being trained or
Yeah,
how
so
people are being educated.
Which is an answer too. So
Right.
we're leaning more, you ruled out certain things.
Right.
And we're starting to hone in on it's possibly where the education
Right.
is coming from. I mean, even that is an answer,
Right.
I think, for the board to consider.
Mhm, for sure.
Do
Thank-
we, oh, sorry. Do we have are we able to get, because it's PSI, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we able to get the most commonly missed questions on the Spanish side to kind of see if there is a translation in regards to the question that's being asked? Because, and the reason why I asked this just came up the other day in my salon with one of my stylists, and I knew she knew the answer, but I had to rephrase it 3 times for her to answer me correctly. And it just dawned on me like, wait a minute, is there something common that they're missing in our California tests that maybe we can look at?
I will have that. I'm
So-
sure they can pull that data.
We should be looking or asking for a diff review. Questions that perhaps are easily answered by the English test takers, but that we're missing in the Spanish speaking.
Okay. That's great. All right, moving to page 11. This continues the out of country schools and their pass rates. And then, of course, and on page 12, we go into the traditional school programs and their pass rates. And something that's interesting about the Spanish pass rates is for the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary, you have to be approved to teach in Spanish. If you're teaching in Spanish, that's an approval they have to give you. We don't. So we have no idea who's teaching in Spanish. But we've even pulled data on that to look at who are these schools where these licensees are coming from and why are they failing? And something that we found was they went to English speaking schools. They were taught completely in English, but when they went to take the exam, they chose to take the exam in Spanish, thinking that that's their first language, they'd be more comfortable. So we do have it now where they're both on there. So the English version of the question is it a toggle?
No, I believe they both show
They
at the
both
same
show it.
time.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we do show the English question and the Spanish question. So we'll see what kind of data PSI can get though, and I'm sure they'll be willing to come meet with us at our next meeting. All right, moving to page 13 is the last of our school programs. And then we go into 14. This is just our chart of our licenses issued, and then a comparison of the licenses issued for the last 5 years. Next is our current license population by license type. So again, we have, over 662,000, but here's a breakdown of each one of our license categories. And then, as you all know, we ask a survey during renewal time of who's a independent contractor and who has employees in their establishments. So these next few pages are those survey results from the renewal. Those go to page 18. Any questions on any of that?
Comment.
Yes.
As a practicing esthetician, I just received my renewal recently and I loved I'm sorry, actually this was in the establishment owner packet that came to our salon that I rent space at, but it was a full checklist of all the things that you should go around your salon and look for safety and health. And I just thought that was so valuable. So kudos to the board for constantly trying to reach out to the licensees and get that information out. Yeah, it looked
you.
really great. And I made copies and gave it to everybody in the salon. Yeah, so good job.
All right, on page 19, we have our disciplinary review committee. We are fully staffed in that unit. We are showing our appeals, what we've heard, what we've received, and what we have pending. So in the north, we have 35 appeals pending, and in the south, we have 120. We'll be knocking out some of those tomorrow. Thank you for the members who are staying to get a San Diego DRC in. I think we just looked and we started with.
We have 40.
So we only have 40
Yes.
cases, so we'll probably be done by 1.
Got 40, 25 or so.
I know. So we might have a quick day tomorrow. Moving on to page 20 is our enforcement and inspections and cite and fine. We have 53.5 positions allocated to these units, and we currently have 4 vacancies. Those are all special investigator positions that are going to be working. Most of you know Christian Gutierrez, he was promoted to our supervising special investigator. Yeah, Christian, he's moving up. And so he is in the process of I'm just started, lost my train of thought there for a second. He's in the process of hiring 4 new positions. We think this is going to greatly help us with the apprenticeship program. So right now we only have 1 special investigator that works on that, and it's very much too much work for 1 person. So moving on to page 21, we have our complaints received by complaint type. So just a little description of the types of complaints we receive between fraud, health and safety, sexual misconduct, non-jurisdictional. I won't read them all for you, but you can see our graph of the different types of complaints we receive. We have listed our probation cases. We currently have 108 probation cases. We have 23 that are told, so they're sort of not working in the industry, so not completing their probation at this time. So 71 active cases in probation. Next is our quarterly enforcement to statistics. So you can see we've been receiving a lot of consumer complaints. Last year we were higher than normal at 6,281. And so this first quarter we've received 1,847 so far. And then we've listed our attorney general work, any of the items that we referred to the attorney general. So when we have formal discipline, those get sent over there. Any questions on that? The next page continues on with that. It talks about our disciplinary outcomes. So those are the items that we've sent to the Attorney General. And this is the outcome of what happened. So 5 people were revoked. 1 person had a revoke, but they stayed and it got probation, revoke, stay, and they had a suspension with probation, 7 of those. So that's just the outcomes as a result of all those mail votes that you guys do. Thank you so much. And that's the final decisions. And then some additional information on probation. Our schools, we have 273 approved schools right now, excuse me, with 45 open cases, enforcement cases on schools. And in 25-26, we've received 53 school complaints.
I have a question.
Okay.
In regards to the processing of the cases, what is the average time from the case being brought in till resolution of the case?
Are you talking about schools?
Yes, schools.
School cases are usually done fairly quickly. Carrie, do you have an estimated timeframe?
Most of them are non-jurisdictional,
Mhm.
so they're closed fairly quickly. Those that we need to do an inspection for may be open for like 90 days at the max.
Which is quick. That's it. Yeah, we get again, a lot of people in the industry go to the board. It's state board, right? It's not the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. It's not the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary. I'm sure they both get their fair share, but the first thought from somebody who wants to complain is the state board. So a lot of times we do get complaints to us that are, my teacher did X, Y, and Z, and we have nothing over that. So that gets referred to the Bureau, and we close it, but we still have to process the complaint. All right, and then we've listed just information on the extern program, and then we go into inspections on page 24. So inspections and citation statistics. Number of inspectors we have in September of 2025 is 16. Number of inspections that we did was 611. Number of citation analysts we have right now is 4, and the number of days to process a citation is 1. And that is thanks to our MIP program, which is the mobile. All inspectors are on the MIP. We're still working out glitches, of course, but the inspections come in and our cite and fine analysts handle them within a day.
I will say having the opportunity to go out with Christian and seeing it in action was funny. Like, cause I've been around a long time. Everything was paper, right? You fill out the paper, they sign it, you give it to them, sign, and then mail it in, and like this whole thing. So when he had a question and was able to put it in there, and then by the time we got done, the question was taken care of, and he was like, okay, now we're done. And I was just like, so that was good to see it actually in action, knowing that it just got we just implemented it. So
yeah, it definitely, and Carrie led that team with some other staff in our office. Addison, who I think you all know, was a big player in the MIP project, and Christian, of course, was did training materials. He's worked with the inspectors directly on helping. There's still some glitches. We'll get better. We get better every day, but it's pretty impressive that we're issuing citations within a day. When I started, I think it was months and months, and then DRC wouldn't be until like 2 years later. It was awful. So definitely a big accomplishment for us. And then the next chart is just our citations issued and who they went to. So each license type that got those citations. Page 25 is our inspection results. So this shows how many establishments with violations we had. It shows establishments without violations. So you can see that, we go out and we do inspections, and an inspector might find a towel hanging on the back of your chair that technically is a violation, but now we can tell them, put that towel in the dirty clothes, cover it, you're good to go. So we have a lot of no violations that way. And it gives us the opportunity to educate people instead of just nickel and diming everyone. Out of business is when we've located the establishment and it's out of business, and closed on call means the inspector attempted to do an inspection, but they were closed for that day. We give a little bit of an update on our mobile inspection project. As I mentioned, all of our inspectors are using it, working through glitches, but it's going really well. Our request for payment notices, this is for people who haven't paid their citations and they get multiple notices. We have one person that is solely dedicated to that. Is that correct, Carrie?
That's correct, yes.
And we were very behind on this because we've never really had good systems to pull it and get it. And now we are how caught up?
We have about 600 in our backlog right now. And
Which-
we had thousands in our
Thousands.
backlog. And we're current with all of the notices that are going out now. So the first 30 days, they get their notice if they haven't paid, then the 60 days, then the 90, and then they're going right off to collections if we don't have a social security number or they're a corporation, or they're going right to franchise tax board if they have a social security number. So super exciting, and I can't wait to see at the end of this fiscal year where we're at, because it's going to be a drastic change from where we were just 2 years ago. Yeah, super exciting.
This happened last week. We ran the number. You've figured out the
She's been
numbers?
like chipping away. at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Carrie
yeah.
was very
I'm just
excited.
getting
about
very
this.
excited. And we're also been working with DCA for a long time, but we are very, very close, fingers crossed, to having the request for payment notices be automatically mailed so that we won't have to key them in and mail them from the office. They'll go out automatically. So that will be super exciting if that happens, and it will reduce her workload drastically. So we'll have to figure out else what you can do what else with her, but that would be like a game changer for all the boards and bureaus that need it. So that would be a change with Breeze for all the boards and bureaus that would like this upgrade. Super exciting.
So, yeah, it was augmented to create a special program in collections.
I'm sorry.
We now have a special collections program, computer program that gets us through all the various phases.
We will hopefully have Breeze send out our first, second, and third request for payment notices.
Okay.
But then we will also send the third request for payment notice via certified mail because that's required. So we still will have that workload. And then we still are currently manually sending over information to the collection agency and to our accounts receivable for franchise tax board. That could be a next step though, to figure out how to get those automated.
But we're using
we need to,
Breeze.
we have to go, step by step.
But we're also using a collection agency
Yes.
to follow up on the hardcore ones.
Yes.
Good.
Yep. And then franchise tax board. will have a
Complicated
social
process,
security
yeah.
number. Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
it is. And I just want to say we have a staff person. Her name's Elizabeth, and she is a rock star and handles this on her own. And with
Great.
Carrie and her manager, and they've just done an amazing job at that.
Yeah.
Great. It's
Super
important.
All right, moving on to our outreach update. Outreach events, we did Sacramento Regional Youth Career Fest at Cosumnes River College on September 26th. We did a Citrus College visit on September 29th. And we did LashCon on the LashCon trade show. Monica and Miranda did that for us. It was a small show that they invited us to, but super happy that they had us and gave us a booth and place to be able to do that. Our social media is still going strong. We're focusing on posting more information for licensees, consumers, and applicants. The board's Instagram now has 14,100 followers. X, formerly known as Twitter, has 903 followers, and Facebook has 23,000 followers. Spanish Facebook is up to 51 followers. That's our newest one. And our Vietnamese Facebook has 261 followers. So hopefully we'll work with some avenues to try to increase that as well.
I
We
just
do-
wanted to, oh,
I'm sorry.
Don't
Are
mind.
we doing
I'm
that
gonna-
are we doing that internally? Or do we have someone do our social media?
It's all internal.
Wow, great.
I was just curious if we can pay to suggest the Board of Cosmos page on Instagram. I've never done that personally. I don't know. But when you see pages and it suggests, like, is that an option? Is it?
Monica's saying no.
Oh, okay.
I think it's definitely something we can look into, but it becomes like a yearly fee and all the bots and everything along. So I think it would just be a long process to figure that out.
We'll definitely look into it though.
Yeah.
So I had made myself a special note and I had been contemplating if I was going to discuss this and this section for social media. But I think it's important for the board to know that once I became the president, social media almost is a nightmare for me. I've been a big advocate of making sure that our Spanish speaking, like we talk about this all the time, making sure we're reaching the right sources and making sure that everybody understands, like your social media, if you're a public person, like you got to be careful what you post. We just had the whole ethics training. We had all the stuff. And for some reason, because I am standout and I'm very vocal, I'm very active in our industry, social media has become a target for me. And I was discussing this with Christy and I said, I don't know what the other presidents, how active they were, but I do know that I'm probably the first one in decades that has been as active because I am a industry member, right? So I've had to change some things. But when I tell you that as well as social media is working and it's reaching people, it's also reaching people in the negative aspect. I've been threatened and targeted about being sued. And this last one was just, what do we call this last one? It was, so I'm public. So I own several companies and all my information is out there. And I got a direct message basically through social media. Then it came to my, my phone. And it just was a big old thing, but it just reminded me of how powerful social media is, right? And so for me, happy go lucky, just go along and I go into salons and I introduce myself because that's just to me a part of when I first came aboard. I know you guys, Steve and Callie, remember my whole thing was bridging the gap from the industry, from the licensees to the board, because we were all hating the board. And when I decided to become a part of it, it was, why do I want to be a part of the board? Is I wanted to bridge that gap. I wanted the inspectors, they're the first line of defense. So people to understand that they're not our enemy as a licensee, right? And I feel like this last year has been very trying and triggering for me in a space that I love, right? So I say this with all the awareness that is out there, that it doesn't stop with just getting the information out to the licensees. It also is us, right? So people are, they know who we are. And when I say this last one was just a lot, it was, threatening to sue me personally, which I mean, don't worry about it. But then the end of it was, you should be very careful with, what you do to other people, meaning salons and taking a direct approach, because people actually think we have the power to put them out of business. Right. So when I tell you that my advocacy for what I do has nothing to do with me until it has something to do with me. Right. So I say this to say to you all to continue to support the board, continue to repost if you see the things and all that. But if something is making you uncomfortable or someone's reaching out to you uncomfortably in the social media world, please let somebody know, because I stayed silent for a moment and then and then I was like, wait, is this really happening? Right. And a lot of it has to do with visibility. Like I literally cannot go anywhere now without being recognized. And I didn't know what that looked like until this last incident happened. So I say to you, like, again, like social media, we're talking about it here as far as our outreach and all that, but I'm an outreach person. And so now I have to look at it a little differently.
And I'll just say that I think Tanya's downplaying a little bit. I had no idea how famous she is. When people contact her regularly, and then of course she has to contact me regularly. But we've had some doozies recently, so I think it's great appreciation for having somebody in the industry who's so connected, because it really has brought a lot of light to a lot of different areas. Yes.
Well,
First of all, Tanya, thank you for sharing. I was not aware of that. I don't really have social media myself, so, wow, I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. And I'm not sure if this would impact like what I was gonna ask of considering the possibility of starting a YouTube channel for, our.
We do have a YouTube channel
Oh.
and we have, we don't post things on it. It's more board meetings.
Yeah, so like right now, our webcast for the meeting will be posted on there once our man Caesar, finishes and edits everything. But typically it's all of our board meetings and everything like that. But then our social media pages honestly are more like Canva informational, except for a couple of videos that we've done like in the past. So
Yeah, we can look into that though, because we did do some videos in the past that we put up on YouTube that probably need to be updated anyways. They're probably new. So we'll definitely look into adding to that.
Just a question. Oh,
The mic leader.
They go into the YouTube channel and that way they can be processed and put it up into the page.
I understand that, but I was referring more to like the social media campaigns, like there's like opportunities, kind of like the August meeting with the Vic Blends and.
Yep.
And then like the Lash Con, more kind of like promos.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if.
We'll look
maybe-
into see what we could do. It's a lot of times it's staffing. Caesar is the one who he's done our videos many, many years ago. He's done videos for us. But Caesar also does all of the webcasting for other, all the boards, but it's definitely something we could put on our to-do list and see if we could increase. So we want to do training videos for inspectors, in-house training videos as well and things like that. So, but we'll make sure you all have the link as well, because there are some good videos on there right now. All right. Next on page 29 is our strategic plan update. Very brief. We've finished the pre-apprentice training is now offered. It's currently being translated into Spanish. So it's going to be super helpful. And then we are obviously publishing our Barber Cosmo update on a quarterly basis. Our strategic plan ends in 2027. So I know the group that handles the strategic planning process just reached out to me last week. We're going to start next year really looking at ramping back up and getting a new strategic plan going. So as that gets better, probably mid next year, we'll be having strategic planning sessions to start for our next strategic plans can go 3 to 5 to 7 years, I believe. So it's been a long time since we've had that and we're almost finished with it. So, and I think that is the end of my report. But I can keep going. Well, public comment. I
Thank
guess.
you.
Oh,
Thank you, Chrissy, for that update. Do we have any public comment on agenda item number 7? No public comment and no moderator. All right, Christy, go ahead.
we'll move on to agenda item number 8. This is an update on chaptered legislation. So we have a few bills, luckily just a few that were chaptered. And so we'll just go through those quickly. AB 1514, that is the labor contracts for the manicurist that extended the expiring of the exemption for manicurists to January 1, 2029. So as of right now, or I'm sorry, as of January 1, the bill will go into effect January 1, 2026. Manicurists will be able to be a booth renter, basically. So you might remember we've had a lot of discussions on that. Not really our laws, but obviously we want all of our licensees to be treated the same. So we did get that exemption through in this bill. So it's through January 1, 2029. Hopefully something from now till then is handled to make manicurists be treated exactly like all the rest of our license types for good. SB 236 is just a cosmetics chemical hair relaxers. So this is a bill that impacts the Department of Toxic Substance Control that basically says that products containing certain ingredients cannot be used. And it mandates the Department of Toxic Substance to adopt regulations by January 1, 2030 to implement and enforce these provisions. So it's the manufacturers of hair relaxers that will be impacted on that. SB 470 was an extension of the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act exemption. So doing our teleworks for our committees, allowing some of you to be in Southern California, but if a majority is at one spot in Sacramento, we can have that type of meeting. So that is a great extension. I hope someday it becomes permanent, but we'll see what happens in 2030. And then lastly, SB 518 is something we've been tracking. This establishes the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. You might remember that last year there was a bill to expedite somebody who is a descendant of an American slavery. And that bill didn't go through, but there were two bills this time. And they realized first they needed somebody to handle this workload, right? Somebody to develop it. So they established the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. So we'll be watching as this develops and see where it goes and what impact this would have on us. So basically the legislation that was implemented this year, we don't have to do anything. So super excited about that. Exactly. All right.
Thank you, Christy. Is there any public comment on agenda item number 8? Wait, that was 8. Right? Yes. Agenda item number 8. No public comment, no moderator. Christy, back to you.
All right, we will move on to agenda item number 9. First, just 9 and 10 kind of go together. It's about talking about regulation packages. Number 9 is just our update of our regulations. So we had the final regulation proposal was approved by the Office of Administrative Law that cleaned up the hairstylist fees. So that's great. And that was effective October 1st, 2025. The following final regulation proposal was approved by the director and submitted to OAL on October 15th, 2025, with a response due before December 1st, 2025. That is the interpreters for licensing exams, where we're allowing them to be an interpreter once every 1 year as opposed to every 2 years. We're currently working on that, but we're on track for that. Is that right, Allison? So probably January 1 effective date for that. Thank you to Allison. She's had to step in and help with regulations, as she often does. And she really loves doing it. So, all right. And that's, oops, sorry, I'm missing a whole page again. We're currently still working on the out-of-state license certifications request, and we're also still working on the proposals for apprenticeships, schools and externs, remedial education program, and health and safety. We are working to hire a new regulations specialist. So once we have that person, we'll be able to start digging deeper into these very large regulation packages, because doing those ones. And then of course, we want to also see how Sunset goes with the apprenticeship program, because we don't, and even schools, we have to see what the law is going to allow us to do to develop regulations. And that is it for that package. Any questions on the updates?
Public comment on agenda item number 9. No comment, no moderator.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 10. This is also talking about regulations, and this is talking about disciplinary guidelines. If you've been on the board for a while, you've seen the disciplinary guidelines for a few years. And so as regs go through the process, and I know Sabina and I have said many times, like, don't worry, you'll see it again. You'll see it again. Well, you're seeing it again. And so this is, as the regs are going through the process, it went to the director actually, and they had some recommendations on a change in language. So if you look at page 2 on the memo, it shows that what we just wanted to clarify, again, it's our disciplinary guidelines, so you want to be as clear as possible. But when we talk about the posting of the suspension sign, we're just changing this highlighted section to say cosmetology. It did say barbering and cosmetology. So now we want to make it clear and consistent: cosmetology, hairstyling, skincare, nail care, or electrolysis services as applicable. So that is the only change that we are added. And of course, we have to provide you with the whole disciplinary packet. So that's why it looks a lot more daunting than it is, because we've seen this several times. We will need a motion to move this forward. We request that you review attachment 1. And if no further changes are recommended, we move the motion provided below. And so we do have a recommended motion should somebody wish to make that.
Tanya Fairley, I move to approve the proposed modified regulatory tax and form therein incorporated by reference as set forth in Amendment 1. Direct staff to take all steps necessary to complete the rulemaking process, including preparing modified text for notice of a 15-day public comment period. If after the 15-day comment period, the board does not receive any objections or adverse recommendations specifically directed at the modified text, the notice or to the procedures followed by the board in proposing or adopting this action, authorize the executive officer to make any non-substantive changes to the proposed regulation and rulemaking file, and adopt amendments to Title 16 CCR Section 972 as set forth in Attachment 1.
Oh. Sorry, your first reference was to Amendment 1. Does that matter? Oh, just in the second line, you said Amendment 1 instead of Attachment 1. I just don't want them to play back the recording and say, actually, the the motion's a little different.
I will clarify and say Attachment 1.
This is Member Pham. I second. I'm so sorry. I just know that later when someone plays back the tape and it's like, oh, actually, there was no Amendment 1, and therefore your motion did not actually. So saving us time in the future. This is Member Pham. I second that motion. Thank you.
And then, is there any public comment on the motion? No public comment, no moderator. Monica, you please call roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Michelle Egger, Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Maytham,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Christy?
Okay, are we ready? Yes. I mean, you're in charge.
I forget that sometimes. Before we get into this next section, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute bathroom break. Okay? Then we can come back and be ready. Okay, thank you. Okay, we are back. I'm going to turn it over to Christy for agenda item number 11.
All right, thank you. This is the big one. So sunset review, here we go. So you have in your packets the semi-final report for sunset. As you remember at our last meeting, we made some changes. Those changes are all highlighted. So we're going to go through the highlighted changes. Now, we have to approve this today. And so it goes to the legislature first week of January is when it's due. And then they will prepare their report and send it back to us. So I did want to mention also to keep in the backs of your minds that we may have to have an urgent meeting after we get that report from them, because what we do is there's going to be several questions that we have to have the response to. So depending on the timing of everything, there might be a meeting. We still have to publicly notice it. So that's for 10 days. So we'll let you know that as soon as we have that information. It could end up time-wise being perfect with how we're meeting. So hopefully that's what happens. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to move first to page 3. We talked about in our last meeting adding more pictures, pumping up the consumer harm section. You can see that we have added more pictures. I mean, we could have gone on a lot on this. And so hopefully I think they're pretty awful. And so hopefully you have looked at this highlighted section, and I'll ask if anyone has any comments on any of the highlighted verbiage or the photos.
Yes, Member Pham, Christy, I'm just on, are you talking about in general, or are we moving page by page?
I thought we'd go through it. Well,
By-
highlighted page by highlighted page. So it's
Okay.
not through the whole thing.
Okay, got it. So we're on page 3.
Correct. 3, 4, and 5 have
3, 4, and 5.
our first sections that changed from
Okay,
the last
this is
meeting.
just a side note, but I feel like the lice could be more obvious. You have better lice photos. Oh, because I looked at it and I was like, what's wrong with this photo? Oh. Because I saw from the notes that there was a conversation about photos that look good in color and in black and white. I was like, the lice one, I was like, I could barely see the lice.
Maybe we'll see if we can enhance it. Yeah.
Just, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, hard to capture in the right, yeah. On page 5 in the yellow, the average consumer visits a barber, that paragraph. It says in California, is it hair businesses? Is that you meant to put there? Because that's a little specific.
We can
or-
say
or the-
salons and barbershops.
Okay, I was wondering if it was like, or even just like these businesses,
Beauty
only
industry,
because hair businesses doesn't, when we talk about eyes, hands, and feet injuries, like those are not necessary.
We'll say the beauty industry.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good point. All right, seeing no other comments, we're going to move to page 7 has a highlighted section. That is just because we've increased or we've added all the attachments now. So we had to go through and make all those numbering, make sure the numbering was correct. So we'll move to page 9. We added in AB 1514, which is the extension of the manicurist exemption from the ABC test, which we just talked about earlier. So we added that into sunset since this goes to the legislature January 1. We want it to be super current. Page 11, we added in SB 236, which is the relaxing bill. Page 12, we added in SB 470, which is the teleconferencing bill. Page 16, you'll see the highlights of just the attachment numbers. That's the same on 17. On page 20, we didn't have this data at our last meeting at the bottom. So over the last 4 years, the board has spent an average of $1.9 million on contributions to the BREEZE program. And then we've filled that out in the chart below. So that's just anytime we change things in our database, which is BREEZE. So MIP took some costs, correct?
Yes, and we also have to pay for all the licenses we have for Breeze
And
and
any
maintenance and
maintenance, right.
operations. And so there's just ongoing costs, whether we're making updates or not.
Right, yes. Moving.
So I had a question though. My question was, and I don't know if I missed it or we did a full fee analysis thing where we were talking about where we can what fees we could change, modify, like I think that was on our citations, right?
Yes,
That was on citations.
correct.
So I didn't see that in here at all
No.
because, okay.
Because that's a regulation and it's not done. It's still in the process. It will be in next sunset. All right, moving on to page 24. We added, let me see where I'm at. We added that top paragraph there. We just added some information on training, something we're supposed to report on. So we added some additional information. And then so much data, lots of data. I should have flagged them. $66. Someone on 50? No, 66. 66, okay. And 60, on page 66 was just a minor addition. Page 7. So page 67, we replaced with the very much highlighted section that we handed out to you. We emailed it to you, but we also handed it out to you today. I believe the correct one is online. Okay, so what we did was we just expanded on, the question is, what actions has the board taken to help reduce or eliminate inequities experienced by vulnerable communities, including low and moderate income? So we just expanded on this information. So again, the board, we have done a lot. We give exams in different languages. We have Facebooks and in different languages. We translate all of our information into different languages. So we wanted to sort of highlight the items that we have done and have been doing for quite some time, but just to really address this question. Any concerns with that verbiage?
I appreciate the addition, Christy, because I when I read it the first time, I was like, oh, that's
I
it.
know.
You guys do so much more. So I'm glad to see it all spelled out.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move to page 72. And that is just a comment about the bills that were signed by the governor regarding the AB 15, the manicurist exemption. That was, we just clarified that.
Oh, sorry, Christy, did you also want to mention the survey you did from the DEI committee? Or is that appropriate? I feel like you did a really great survey and learned a lot of information, but
We didn't, we could have put that under number 62.
yeah.
Um,
Well, wherever it goes, I feel like that should be mentioned.
okay, we'll just have to make that. Thank you. Me too. All right, are we on page 8?
Christy?
Yes.
Question about page 75. There's no yellow highlighted. I was just curious reading about endorsement and reciprocity. I remember we had a conversation about interstate compacts. I'm just curious about where that went or if, if we dropped it or, yeah.
Yeah, it was not supported in the legislature. So at this point, it has been dropped. I'm hearing it could be taken to the legislature again. So if that happens, it will come back to us as a bill.
Got it.
So, but nothing right now.
Thank you.
All right, on page 80. On our new issues, so this we had talked about and you guys had recommended some additions to this. So this is going back to saying, what we did was we went back to past sunsets and we thought we said it good then. So we added in that the board believes that it is best positioned regulatory entity to have sole oversight of schools. So you can see what we listed on that. But then making it, if we're not granted sole oversight of schools, this is what we would need, which we talked about last time. So we added in that section as first, we want sole oversight. Second, we at least want this. All right. Moving next to page 82. Oh,
That's a
sorry.
quick question.
Yes.
On the school takeover, whatever component it might be, Uh,
Speak up just a little bit.
Okay, sorry, horse. On this school takeover and whatever configuration of the two we mentioned it might be. What is the old adage? Be careful what you ask for it just may come true. Have we studied what the financial implications would be to our board? I mean, their board, I guess, is in a position where they make thousands of dollars upon application of a school, and they get a percentage of the income evidently that comes in on a continuing basis, it looks like. But we're going to have some costs against it. We're going to have some real staffing costs. And, we run our budget real well right now. How deep do you think we're going to be into financial?
Well, if this were to get put into a bill, even if it never makes it to the governor's desk, but let's just say it gets put into a bill, it will go to the appropriations committees and on both sides, and we will have to do a deep fiscal analysis on this because it will take staff that we don't have. We don't have the staff for this. We don't have the staff for it now. And it's a different level of staff, I believe. So, there's definitely would be a fiscal impact statement if it gets put into a bill.
And it appears that their board, which is roughly the same size as ours in gross income, has had to be budget stabilized by the state more than once. So it tells me that there's some inherent costs in this that could be very, very prohibitive.
It's definitely, for the enforcement, would definitely increase enforcement costs for sure.
Right. You comfortable with what it could be?
We would have to get an allocation. We would probably be okay in our fund, like our savings account in a sense.
Right.
But that would have to go, it would be an extensive discussion through appropriations and determining, because again, we would have to do that study for sure to determine
Good.
what it would mean to have that oversight. And then what's the cost to the board? And then that's how we would develop the initial examining or application.
And don't misunderstand me. I'm very positive to the oversight. I just want to make sure that we don't get any
Right.
surprises in this
Definitely
process.
increase our staff.
Gotcha.
Okay, so were there any more questions on page 80 and 81? All right, so page 82. We just cleared that up about the same thing. This is just the recommended legislative language that would go to the committee. On page 83, we did modify, this is our licensure by endorsement. We modified that last requirement to proof of passing a licensure examination in the United States or territory, because it dawned on us that a lot of people might take and pass an exam in Texas, move 5 times to different states, especially if they happen to be in the military, and let that Texas license go. They're not ever going back to Texas. So their certification letter from Texas wouldn't be valid to get them a license in California. So what we need is their proof of examination passing. So we wanted to make that clear that that's what we would need.
Christy, on this part too, is this, do we have anything in place for those areas like Washington where we are getting the fraudulent testing?
That's what's going to help
certifications?
this.
This is going to help
Yeah.
that. How?
Because they're not showing that they took an exam. So a cert letter right now from Washington doesn't show that they ever took an exam. So we have to license. Exactly.
Fraud.
Right, but the examination is through a testing site. Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
All right, page 84 highlight is just a adding of an attachment. And then we might be done. Don't think we've made any changes to the apprentice report. That's from the last time, so. That's it.
Well, I will say that in this whole process, thank you. Thank you to everyone involved in just the constant revisions after revisions and bringing it back and understanding the language and making it plain to us to understand, like, I mean, you guys, we saw the last one. They came a long way to only have like these little yellow highlights. So for me, thank you. I appreciate it. Do we have a date yet though on Sunset? When that is? Okay. When do we, like, how, within what time frame do we know? I know they said it's going to be in March per se. It was on the DCA overall meeting that we had.
I've been in, there's been years where we've been given 2 weeks notice.
Oh. And from the board, who all attends the Sunset Review?
Usually in my entire history, it's been the board president.
Oh, I need more than 2 week notice.
I will do my best.
Do we have any questions from the board?
Before you go to public comment, we should do a motion, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so I would recommend, you okay with me recommending?
Yeah.
You got some?
No, I just got the 2 pages.
Okay, so I'm gonna Sabina and I are gonna recommend a motion to approve the final sunset report while making 2 amendments to page 5 in changing that businesses to beauty industry. And on page 67, we are going to add the information of the DEI survey that was conducted and also allow the executive officer to make any non-substantive changes to the report before it is submitted. So grammatical that somebody else is going to find. And with that motion, somebody can say, so moved. Thank you.
Add with that non-substantive changes, I would add technical, also the word technical also, just in case to cover it all.
Non-substantive
And technical
and
changes.
technical changes.
So moved. Oh, Danielle Munoz, so moved.
Board Member Ellis seconded.
Now we're open to any public comment on the agenda item. And here we go. Hello.
Is it on now? I'm out of practice. To take a little break. Good to see you all. Thank you all for coming to beautiful San Diego. We hope your weather worked out for you well. Obviously, sunset reports are incredibly important to the advancement of all of our industries. So on behalf of licensed estheticians, I want to make a comment regarding the function of consumer harm in the industry. I feel that the word harm kind of indicates that anytime that you're going to go in and get a facial or waxing or lashes, kind of projects that you're always going to come into a situation where you are injured. And that is not true. I feel that this first statement should say consumer protection in the industry because we do have trusted spaces. We have a lot of qualified people that do good work. We contribute to this massive economy that is stated in the next paragraphs here of a $24 billion economy. That's not just of selling of the skincare products, the moisturizers, the serums, the peels, the things that we do with our clients. It's also the treatments that we provide. And so if you're going to say that we contribute, and then on the next page, it gives us an impression that it is really dangerous to engage in a spa treatment. There is no remedy that is being proposed in this document from this page or through the rest of the thing that says how we can improve things, like giving a pathway for licensed estheticians to eventually have medical supervision. We all work in med spas. We are all working under a doctor, and that doctor tells us, you're going to do microneedling today. And we go, I can't do that. And they go, great, you're going to lose your job. This has been the age-old thing that you probably all know about from the med spas. And it gives us no avenue to have a safe place to be supervised in a medical environment when we remain in the space of just what we were supposed to be doing, which was cleansing and moisturizing skin.
We are talking about the evolution of aesthetics, but we give no remedy on how to advance the industry in itself. And I feel that this is time for the board to start stepping up to give us an actual pathway into joining in with the medical board and having actual medical supervision of our license type. Thank you.
Thank you.
You must have saw me coming. My board members, Fred Jones, Professional Beauty Federation. Couple things. This is the first time in my 25 years representing the industry where I'm actually concerned about policymakers trying to de-license our industry. In the past, it was used as a fundraising gimmick by some. It's a real threat, and it's happening in other states, and it's well funded. And so, with due respect with Ms. Cochran, I don't think you can overemphasize the word harm enough. You need to get through to these policymakers that this just isn't a simple haircut and a shampoo industry. There are serious potential harm. And that's why we have a license schema. That's why we have a state board of barbering and cosmetology. That's why we have a minimum competency licensing, et cetera. But policymakers don't understand all of that. So, you know, it's the old SNL skit. I want more cowbell. The answer is more harm, more pictures. That's the only edit I would suggest is more pictures, more cowbell. And make sure it translates well into black and white. It's very well written. The report is very good. I'm just trying to think like a legislator who hasn't read more than 2 pages since college. So you got to get their attention early. And so more cowbell. Let's see. On the sole oversight question Mr. Weeks had, I just want to emphasize right now, your board doesn't receive a dime from schools. You would receive the thousands, tens of thousands of dollars from each school in their licensing fees that are currently going to BPPE and down a drain hole. So there would be a heck of a lot more funding that you would have from those 247 soon to be licensed schools. Again, most paying tens of thousands of dollars each year to BPPE. It's a great report. Buckle up. We'll have to see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments?
You can't have all three of us in the room without all three of us making public comment. That just would not be right. How else would you know we were ever here? Jamie Strabeck, Precision Nails. I suggested at the last meeting that this section in particular be beefed up and that it does focus on the role of the board to protect consumers. And just reflecting on all the time that I've spent as a licensee, as an establishment owner, I had suggested language such as this. From minor departures from the standard of practice to incompetence and gross negligence, the risk to consumers ranges from a disappointing experience to permanent disfigurement or disability, including amputations and even death. That's the risk that's possible when someone seeks service in an establishment. Whether that establishment is licensed or not, or the individuals are licensed or not, that is the potential risk. And if legislators don't understand our industry, which I imagine many of them do not understand, they might be comparing it to the medical industry or nursing or other industries where they expect things like continuing education and the requirement of liability insurance, and even things like as simple as bloodborne pathogen training, which we don't require either, or background checks. And I would hope that in this section, we could emphasize these are the things that we are not requiring because we are trying to reduce barriers to entry. But in doing so, we've created a situation where these risks do exist and consumers need to be aware. And it's the board's responsibility to protect consumers as much as possible. And I credit you for all that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. You're done with public comment. No moderator? Okay. Now we need our motion, is that correct? Uh, Monica?
My pleasure. Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Michelle Edgar, Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfan,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Well, this was exciting. We thought we were gonna, I was like, I wanted to go to the zoo today, and I was like, oh man, I can't go to the zoo, but now I can go to the zoo. I know. But this one was the one that we were just knew we were gonna be here for a while. Are there any public comments on items not listed on the agenda? Going once, gone. No moderator. All right. Let me find my notes here because I know we are. All right. Board members. Wait. Yep, that was right. Moving right along. Number 13. Yeah, that's what I'm going to. I was waiting. Board members, are there any future agenda items that you would like to discuss?
I want to add, we had talked a little bit at the last board meeting about pulling some different type of data for Spanish and apprentices as well. And so we are working on that too, that we hope now that this is off our plates, this huge report, we'll have better focus to be able to get some of that.
I do want to bring back something up that I asked about. I think it was a couple meetings ago, and I didn't make my notes to follow up in regards to the establishments, in regards to the bathroom, the supply room locked up. Help me with my train of thought here.
It's the violation where
Yes.
there can't be anything stored in the restroom. And that is something I believe we can address in regulations. So we can actually put that in our future agenda, as well as Steve's comments before that we're still looking into on like the LLC and the partnerships. I believe that's all information we can address during the regulatory process and not necessarily needed in Sunset. So we'll be working on that and bringing that to the board as well.
My other question was in regards to out of businesses when the inspectors show up and there's no business there. What I would like to know if there's a way we can automate that because it's known that they're not there. And so if they had to put in an address change or something like that, it's something they still have to physically do because that location is non-existent. So I wanted to discuss that parameters because I saw the report where it said something like 55.
Yes.
But we don't have it in the system that they're out of business. So what that looks like.
Well, we have, this is the Blue List project. Am I correct, Carrie?
Yes.
Okay. So we actually, because we are so efficient with our MIP project and doing inspections and citations are getting done so quickly, we actually have a team of people at the office working on that. So what it is people forget to tell you that they closed their business and it could have been closed and could be closed for years, but it's still delinquent in our system. So inspectors have that on their list to go stop by and then they can verify it. We are actually doing that from the office now. So it's a lot, but they chip away at it every single day. We call it the Blue List Project. We have a term for everything, right? And so we have staff that are actually chipping away at every single one of these. They look at delinquent licenses before we even send the inspector out and we take it off their list so they don't have to waste their time in going to an establishment that we can see online has been closed for a while. That's impressive.
I mean, you talk about being in tune. I'm just saying, like, I didn't know that. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for being here today. I appreciate everyone showing up, especially, us who had to drive in the Southern California weather. It's terrible. But as you know, we do have another important agenda item that we need to discuss. But before we do that, I gotta feed, you guys gotta feed yourselves. Okay, we will not be reconvening online since we will be going into closed session after closed session.